taller than he is.
Yeah, I know. With a frying pan. Show him. Do more in Caden on him.
Okay.
Oh, jeez. I don't understand that inside
That's a little
joke.
inside joke.
Okay. Pat, we're going to roll, and you can go ahead here. And again, just keep your eyes on, Hillary.
Okay.
And,
Uh-huh.
ignore the camera and ignore me and just have a conversation with her.
I'll try.
Okay?
All right.
Okay, so to identify the tape, would you state your name?
Okay, Maire Brady. My full name is Mairead.
Would you spell it?
Mairead.
Okay.
Brady, B-R-A-D-Y.
Brady.
Okay.
And why were you given your name, Mari?
I'm not exactly sure, actually. My mother was Margaret, and Mairead is the Irish for Margaret. So it may have been from that. Or I also have an aunt, Mariah. So I don't know if I got my name from her either. So I guess it's a little in the family.
Do you have a nickname?
Not really, no. Not when you were kids, you might have had a few, but not really now, no.
Okay. What part of Ireland are you from?
I'm from County Cavan. It's right in the Midlands, toward the north. It's northeast. I just come from a small town called Ballygymstuff. I live a couple of miles outside the town. I come from a farm, so I grew up a farmer's girl. So I'm not exactly sure what you want me to.
Well, first,
Seven.
is there a parish name or a townland name?
Our townland is Ahalion. It's spelled Aughalion. We're in the parish of Castlerahan. The actual town is in the parish of Castlerahan, which there's 3 churches in the parish. And Castlerahan itself is the main church. It's the biggest. Actually, it's not the biggest church. It's probably the smallest church, but it's the oldest one in the town, in the parish.
Any idea from around when it was built?
No, I have no idea. I know it's before my grandmother's time because she was married there. So that's quite a long time. It's an old stone church.
Sounds beautiful. And where were you born?
I was born in Cavan, in the town of Cavan. There's a hospital, general hospital. I was born there. So most kids my age would have been born in hospital back then.
How old are you?
I'm 31.
What's your birthday?
Oh, April 8th. It was my birthday, so it's coming up. Oh, it is.
Good. Do you have siblings?
Yeah, there's 7 of us. I have 4 brothers and 2 sisters.
What are their names?
So, going from the oldest down, Catherine, PJ, Stephen, Tony, myself, Harry, Thomas and Geraldine.
Where are your siblings now?
I have 4 is in Ireland and 1 is here right now. He's in Oregon and he works for Intel. So he was sent out with his company to learn some new technology. The other sister is in Jersey in the Channel Islands. She's married over there and she has 2 children.
And then you're here.
And I'm here.
Okay. Were your parents and grandparents from the same area?
No, actually, my grandparents were. My grandparents came from Cavan, from Ballygymstuff area, and my mother came from Leitrim. So where I actually grew up was my father's place, my father's home place.
So the same place that your father grew up?
Yeah, it was his home place and his family's.
Any idea how long it had been in your family?
Yeah, our farm was bought, my grandfather bought it for, actually my great-grandfather bought it for my grandfather and grandmother after they got married. They bought a farm for each of their sons. when they got married, and that's when they lived there. So probably in the 1920s. Probably 1920s they've owned it since.
And what type of setting was your home in? Was it country or?
Yeah, very much country. The nearest town is 3 Mile, which is Ballygymstuff. So that's the nearest shop is 3 Mile away. So really, it's very much now. It's very built up. But when I was growing up, it was the nearest neighbour was like half a mile away. But there's so much building and so much progress right now. It's like unbelievable the amount of houses that are gone up. But there's still the nearest town is like 3 Mile away. So there's still no shops or no commercial buildings or anything.
Now, when you were a child, if you were standing looking out your front door, what would you have seen?
Oh, you can see for miles. You can see fields for miles. So you can. Each side there's neighbours' farms. You could see their houses, maybe about a mile away. You could see their houses from like our front door. But I came from a mountain area, so our land went to the top of the mountain, and from the top of the mountain you could see 9 counties.
Which counties are they?
Start from Cavan, Meath, Westmeath, Longford, Leitrim, Louth, Fermanagh, Monaghan, and I think it was part of it was either part of Tyrone. I think it was part of Tyrone. You could see.
So you're looking into the north
So,
to northern.
well, you're looking actually in all directions. You can, because you've north, south, east, and west. Because Fermanagh and Tyrone and Monaghan are to the north. Meath and Meath's to the south, and Louth is kind of to the east, and to the west you've got Leitrim is kind of to the west. So you've got surrounded by each area.
And how was it to be a farmer's girl in Cavan?
Well, growing up, you didn't have a lot, but you always had. You were never without either. We weren't like rich farmers, so we weren't. But there was a difference between farm kids and the town kids, especially in schools.
What were the differences?
So it was you were treated a little different. And they didn't think you were as good as the townspeople, as better off, but you're actually better off than a lot of the townspeople, So.
Did you get up early in the morning to do your farm chores before you caught the bus to school?
Actually, we never had a bus.
Bus?
No. From where I lived, I'm halfway between 2 towns, and there was actually no bus in our area at all. So we never had a bus to school, so we used to either cycle. Sometimes we walked, or my father would leave us to school. But we did get up in the morning, and my father milked cows, so we'd have to milk cows in the morning before we go to school, or like feed the animals. So.
And how long did it take you to walk to school?
It'd take about 40 minutes to walk, maybe a little under 40 minutes to walk to school, but most of the time we cycled.
And what did you raise on your farm?
We had everything. We had a bit of everything. We had cows and sheep, and at different times we had some pigs. We also had we had goats and we had a couple of wild ponies, and you had cats and dogs and hens. We had a lot of hens as well.
What was the weather really like?
When we were growing up, the weather was nice. It wasn't like it is today. It rains a lot now compared to years ago. The summers were really much drier and much warmer than they are now.
So it was sunny out?
much, yeah, much more than now. Because they used to come from a farm. They used to raise hay in the summertime, and it took a lot longer to dry. Now everyone does silage or these round silage bales, which the grass doesn't have to be dry to do. But years ago, the hay took quite some time to dry, and there was never any problems with the rain. And they also had the bog in the summertime, which people wear turf for the fire.
Did you cut your turf?
So years ago, my father used to cut turf, but in the later years, we went over to Westmeath and what they call a bank of turf. We used to get a bank of turf every year.
What is a bank of turf?
It's an area cut out and marked off for each person. So that area is a bank. That's your bank. That's the area you're going to rear the turf on.
And you can cut out as much as you'd like.
Actually, it's cut out. It's cut out with big machines already, but you have to lift them and what they call footing them, which stacks them on top of each other to dry. They stack them like X's and O's, you know. They stack them to let the air go through them to dry them.
Wow. What does a turf fire smell like?
Oh, I'm not exactly sure. Very smoky. Very smoky. It's kind of burning earth, I guess. Burnt to earth. They call it peat here, but it's not really called peat at home.
And how long during the year would you have a turf fire?
Oh, all year round.
All year round?
Yeah. We had, in our house growing up, we had no central heating. So the fire heated the house. And it heated the water too. So you had a fire the whole year round so that
But you didn't
you'd
cook
have hot
over
water.
a turf fire, did you?
Pardon?
Did you cook over a turf fire?
Oh, yeah.
You did?
You had a range. They also burn it in the stove. It's got a range, and which has like 2 ovens as well. And on the top, the food was cooked like on the stove.
Does it flavor the food?
There is a different flavour of it than certain things. There are a different flavour than like a gas stove. So it doesn't cook it as quick. It cooks it a lot slower.
When you were a child, what were your favorite foods?
I'm not sure. We ate a lot of plain food when we were kids. We didn't eat a lot of meat. The meat was always for the adults. But you did eat like sausages or bacon, eggs. You ate a lot of eggs. Fish always on Fridays. I think we ate a lot of bread and we had a lot of potatoes. So we did. We never had rice, or we never had pasta. Actually, I don't think I had pasta till I came here.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think I had.
Did you make your own bread?
My grandmother used to make it when we were young. She lived with us, and she used to make it all the time. But after she died, we didn't really make much anymore.
What kinds of bread would she make?
She'd make like the soda bread. She'd put raisins in some of it, and then she'd make the brown soda bread as well. She was very quick at making it too. She put it in a bowl, she had it whisked up, and she measured nothing. Everything was by hand. She used her hands to measure everything. And she had it made in like 2 minutes.
Did she teach you how to do that?
I used to watch her doing it, but I was never very good at baking. I was never very good at it. So I wasn't. So she tried. She tried.
Well, what kinds of things did you do on a daily basis?
As a kid,
Yes.
well, going to school. So you got up at like maybe 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning and milked the cows and did whatever you had to do to help out, and you got ready for school. And school was from 9:15 till 4 o'clock. So then after school you had dinner in the evening, and then you helped out a little on the farm if there was something to help out with, and did your homework.
What kinds of things did you help with on the farm?
Well, different times of the year there was different things to do. So the winter time was mainly cows calving and sheep in, and like you'd help out milking the cows and doing stuff like that. In the summertime, then that's when they reared the hay and the turf, and you know, you played too. Spent a lot of time doing nothing. Wow.
Did you help with the calving and the lambing?
Yeah, at different times. I wouldn't say all the time. You know, sometimes you'd help out when, you know, if some of my brothers weren't around. So, but they did a lot of the work, you know.
Did you ever drive the farm machinery?
Oh yeah, I used to drive it all the time. When I got older, once you know, 16 or that age, I started driving it. So I wasn't allowed to drive it too often. I ran into the door opened one time. I was driving into the shed and I practically took the door of the tractor. So I was pulled off it that day. But yeah, I did it now and again, you know. And
You told me a story one time about your sister getting hurt on the farm. She hurt her hand.
oh yeah, that was when she was very young. She was only 3, and my father was cutting hay with the tractor and the mowing machine, and the mower, he stopped the mower to some grass had got stuck in it because it was kind of wet, and he told me to pull out some of the grass out of the blades, and then he told us to move away from the tractor. But she saw a little piece of grass sticking down, and she went to pull it, and just as he was starting it up, he started up the machine and cut her finger, nearly cut it right off. But he got a Dawkin leaf and put it on it and made me go over to my mother, and he was over in a few minutes and he brought her to the doctor. She got a couple of stitches in her finger, but she was lucky.
Did it stop the bleeding?
It held it from, and because it was drooping, and it held it up like that, and it didn't stop the bleeding, but it stopped it from coming out really fast, you know. So, but he brought her to the doctor then. But she was a little like Faulty Tower. She had a lot of things happen to her, so she did. I'm afraid.
Now, in your household, when other things would happen in terms of sickness, were there special cures that your family had?
There was the measles. We all seemed to have got them at the one time. And I remember when we had those. There was like the 4 of us in our parents' bed because we all had them at the one time. All I remember, there was white stuff put on us. I don't know what it was, but there was some white concoction put on us. I had the shingles one time, and there was a cure for that. I don't know what it's called, but my uncle went to some lady, and he came back with a big jar of it, and it was green, and it looked like mustard. That's how it did, but it smelled awful. It smelled really terrible. So it did.
Did you eat it, or did they?
No, you rubbed it on. You rubbed it on it. So I had them on my neck. So it's like you had to rub it all over your neck, and I had face paralysis on one side. So I had to rub it all over that area. So it wasn't too nice. But there was all kinds of cures. Our family didn't have any cures, you know, but a lot of families did. There was cures for TB. There was cures for heart problems. There was cures for foot problems, you know.
Did they work?
But some people say they do. One of my cousins did. There's St. Kieran's Well. It's a place, I think it's over in Westmeath. One of my cousins went over there. She had problems with her ankle. And she believes that she had a miraculous recovery after she went there. So I don't know.
Is it a religious place, Kieran's
It,
Well?
yeah, it's a religious place. So I think if you believe in it, maybe, you know. But we had a little well too at the top of our mountain, which was supposed to cure warts. And a lot of my cousins used it. You had to, first it was hard to find because it was all overgrown. And you had to bring a pin, a safety pin, and dip it in the water and rub it on the warts and say some prayer and then throw the pin into the little well. And it was supposed to go like in 3 days. The warts were supposed to go. But also there was a lady near us at home, an old lady. She had the cure of warts. And hers was a totally different cure. She did on my sister. She cut a piece of her hair, a little piece off the back, and she rubbed it on the warts and said some prayer and sent her out and told her hide the piece of hair. And they were gone in a couple of days. So, but there's just some totally different cures. Jaundice is another one. Our neighbour had a cure for jaundice, but I don't exactly know what that was either. So, just different things, you know.
So folk medicine.
Yeah, kind of.
Okay.
Yeah, like holistic medicine.
Thank you. What was your school like?
Our national school was our primary